Welcome to the MLB Slate Breakdown. I'm Jason Gilbo. With me is Brent Heim. Taking a look at tonight's 14-game slate on FanDuel and DraftKings. Big boy here. We got some weather concerns over in like the Midwest area. That Tigers game looking pretty iffy here, but everyone else should be good to go.
Yeah, obviously you'd have to keep an eye on that one. Royals at Indians looks like it could be impacted by rain a little bit and wind. Coors has wind blowing in, which could impact it. And then the rest of them should be okay. I guess there's some rain in LA, but I don't actually believe that because it doesn't ever rain in LA. So I don't know how that one's going to work out. They might cancel those games early.
I'm surprised FanDuel left them on the slate.
They probably just didn't check the weather.
But I mean, we've been waiting on an Oakland starter, Kendall Graveman. Everyone was probably just licking their chops, like waiting to see once he was confirmed.
Yeah, I definitely was. Although I may end up fading Yankees because I feel like they're going to be really popular now.
They probably will. Let's dive into the first one here. San Francisco, Pittsburgh. Jameson Taillon taking on Andrew Suarez. Fairly low scoring game projected here. Taillon 7-3 on DraftKings. It's weird. A guy who hasn't surpassed 15 DK points in his last few starts. I don't mind him here in this spot. We obviously just saw San Francisco just completely fall off the map after that Atlanta series.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of interest here in Taillon as like a tournament option. He's really, really cheap, especially on DraftKings at 7,300. Obviously, has not been great recently. If you look outside of his first two starts this season, he's been pretty darn bad overall. That being said, he is taking some steps in the right direction. You're still worried a little bit about walks to left-handed hitters, but like outside of like Brandon Belt and maybe Brandon Crawford, you're not terribly worried about it here. You do have to worry about McCutchen and the emotion of being facing his former team for the first time. No clue how that's going to impact things, but like I think in the spot against a Giants team that has just been putrid recently. I mean, they're striking out. I'm sure it's up since the last time I pulled this, but 25% of the time against right-handed pitching. It's probably up to like 40% after they struck out like 55 times over their last couple games. But yeah, I think he's a viable option here.
Yeah, I do too. Like he's a solid ground ball guy, right around 50% to both sides of the plate. There are some strikeouts, obviously, in this Giants lineup. He's been a guy, like you said, it's just the walks. I mean, 10.2% walk rate to lefties going back to last year. That's concerning just because, he will face a couple of lefties in this lineup. And he's just been one of those walks have kind of gotten him into trouble a little bit here. He's a guy who will pitch to contact it sometimes. I will say, I do think he does have some strikeout upside, even though he hasn't shown it of late.
Yeah, I do agree, and obviously the biggest concern again you have is some of these guys that hit right-handed pitching pretty hard, like Brandon Belt, but he is in a very good park for that if he's going to give up hard contact.
Yeah, like you said, it's really like Belt and Crawford, but I don't really have interest here, like on a 14-game slate.
I put McCutchen in the cheat sheets as just the narrative street play of people because there are people that buy into it. I don't personally think that narratives in baseball are a thing because I just don't believe that guys are feeling vengeful and they're going to be able to see pitches better. Like I don't think the human body works that way, but people believe in that stuff. So if you're feeling it, roll out McCutchen.
Yeah, Pittsburgh bats. You have some interest here.
Hold on.
What's going on?
Woj bomb.
Oh boy.
Toronto has fired Dwayne Casey.
Wow.
Okay. Alrighty then. That's going to take me a second. Yes, I do have interest in the Pittsburgh bats here. The right-handers, for the most part, like Suarez has been okay this season, but like 60% hard contact to right-handed hitters so far this season. Very small sample, 17.2 innings, but like this is a good spot for these platoon bats, and they can literally load up like an entire lineup of nothing but right-handers if they want to. You get Sean Rodriguez, Jordy Mercer, Marte, Bell, Freese, Cervelli, Osuna, Max Moroff in that lineup, and you're going to have a lot of power potential. It's a very, very good spot for a lot of these guys. I absolutely love Sean Rodriguez here. Way too cheap on DraftKings. He has that multi-position eligibility at 2,800. You can get him in the outfield or shortstop. And then anyone else that really gets in the lineup, I put them all in the cheat sheet, so there's information about them in there. But like David Freese, mash the sliders, Josh Bell, great home run option here. Osuna, if he makes the lineup, a great spot too.
Yeah, I like those calls. I mean, all of them are super cheap. Like those are guys I don't mind kind of just rounding out a lineup with. You mentioned Rodriguez, probably my favorite here, and he's 2,800 shortstop eligible. You also have Mercer, like you said. Yeah, if Osuna gets in the lineup, he's definitely going to go super overload. 212 ISO against lefties dating back to last year.
Yeah, a lot of these guys have decent power against them. So like this is just a really good spot, and I don't expect like Colin Moran and Corey Dickerson to get in the lineup, but they're guys you can look at too. And I think they might roll Elias Diaz at catcher over Cervelli because he is just a better hitter against lefties. I think I like him over Cervelli, but if Cervelli gets in the lineup, you can roll him out too.
Next one here, Mets and Phillies. Steven Matz taking on Jake Arrieta. Jake Arrieta is another one. We were talking a little bit before just how cheap pitching is tonight after the 3-4 guys.
Yeah, Arrieta, it's a great spot here for him. Like outside of his one start this season, he's been phenomenal. 2.97 ERA his last 5 starts. He struck out 22 hitters. It's a really good spot. I mean, he has great contact management skills. Inducing soft contact on like 21% of balls in play. This Mets team is putrid. Like they're so bad they can't even figure out what batting order they're going to be in. So like if you're just going to be giving up free outs because guys are batting out of order, that's only going to be a boost. Arrieta, he's just way too cheap here.
You've been dying to get that off your chest, huh?
I have. Like I was writing about Arrieta when all that stuff was going on because I got a head start on a little bit of the cheat sheets a couple days ahead of time, and I was writing about Arrieta when that stuff happened, and I was just like, "This is awesome."
I like him here. Obviously, I think there's a couple. You got potentially Cespedes who could be out of the lineup. I know Jay Bruce is day to day as well, so like there are a couple of bats that could be out of the lineup and. Usually a team that does have a few lefties will scare me just because, Arrieta can be a little bit, fly ball prone and home run prone to lefties. But sinker's working this year. He's been very solid. I like the strikeout upside is here as well. Mets have been one of the worst teams over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and Bruce will not be in the lineup. He will miss this entire series because he's back home on paternity leave. So he will not even be in the lineup. And he's one of the bats that I actually noted that I do have concerns facing Arrieta because he does hit sinkers pretty well. Like Conforto is another guy that does, but like Conforto, there's talk that he might be battling, a little bit of shoulder issue still because he has struggled a little bit. He's had a couple he's had like one good game recently where he homered off Homer Bailey, but like I could homer off Homer Bailey, so I don't know that that's really saying anything about his health.
Yeah, this projected lineup tonight could be awful, like even worse.
Are you sure you're looking at the right projected lineup?
Could be the one the Mets have, could be the one everywhere else has. I don't know. Who knows at this point?
We'll just have to wait and see.
Philly side things here. I like him here. I know you like him as well. Like I'm interested in stacking them. There's a lot of guys that match up well. Let's talk about the big one, Rhys Hoskins.
Rhys Lightning. Great spot for him. You and I have kind of talked about it a little bit. The league has kind of adjusted to him and they've stopped throwing fastballs to him and they're throwing a lot of sinkers, and that's really led to his struggles recently. Good news is Steven Matz doesn't throw sinkers or sliders. What is he thrown like 3 to right-handers so far this season? That makes Rhys Lightning a pretty good option here. Like ton of power, obviously we know against left-handers. 333 ISO dating back to last season. 51% fly ball rate, 45% hard contact. Great spot for him. I love Cesar Hernandez in this spot. Another excellent bat, not terribly expensive across the industry. Second base eligible. Aaron Altherr, Carlos Santana. Luck finally caught up to him, and he's actually been really, really good recently. So all those times we're using him and hoping that he would break out, and he didn't. Now he has broken out. So now's the time to keep on using him.
Yeah, it really is. And he's a guy, his lefties pretty well. I will say, like, even Odubel Herrera, despite the lefty on lefty, is a guy that I have a lot of interest in putting in the stack here as well. And obviously, like Aaron Altherr, and I even don't mind like some of the back half guys if like Kingery and Alfaro get in the lineup and Michael Franco. Like all these guys have huge potential here. And Matz is someone like the fastball this year, 282 WOBA, like getting crushed 46% hard contact rate, but a 531 expected WOBA, like insanely lucky with his fastball. He has 3 pitches getting hit for 40+% hard contact rate this season. Like, there's just major potential for blow up here.
Yeah, like this, I actually really like Franco as well. Like, if you look, his numbers dating back to last season against left-handed pitching are pretty gross, like a 70 WRC plus, 183 ISO, 282 WOBA. But he has been better this season, like 286 ISO, 481 xWOBA against left-handed pitching. And if you look at Matz's primary, the curveball and the fastball that he throws, Franco has really good numbers against both those pitches, like over 200 ISOs and like a 402 WOBA, xWOBA against his fastball. And Franco's actually been hitting really well over the past like 10 games.
Yeah, I like him here. Also, Cesar Hernandez is always a guy you can start things off with.
For sure.
So, yeah, good spot here for the Phillies. Oakland and New York, you got Kendall Graveman taking on Sonny Gray. What do you want to start with first, Sonny Gray or Kendall Graveman?
They're both frauds. Can we just not talk about either one of them?
So you have to have like an A stack here tonight, right? Like, I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
I will roll out an A stack here. I will definitely have one A stack in one lineup just because Sonny Gray is a fraud.
But I mean, you also got to think like Lowry, Olson, Joyce. I think even like Dustin Fowler should be in the lineup here tonight. Like, there's some lefty power obviously in this ballpark, and it's not like Gray's been great this year.
He really hasn't. Like, he was good in his last outing against the Indians. And it looks like it was because he basically stopped throwing his sinker and just threw his four-seam fastball, like in his changeup and his slider and his curveball. His four-seam fastball is not good, though. Like, it's not. It's just not. Like, I think let me pull it up here. Against righties, he is allowing on his four-seam fastball a 368 WOBA, but a 495 xWOBA. Like, that's not good. 487 xWOBA, 436 WOBA on it to lefties. That's not good either. His two-seam fastball is where the power is coming from, like a 444 ISO allowed to lefties, a 150 ISO allowed to righties, but just a good spot for a lot of these guys that hit those pitches well. Simeon is a good option if he's going to be, I think he's projected to lead off. You could roll him out. Jed Lowry continues to be just one of the hottest hitters in baseball. He's crushed sinkers, 214 ISO against him. Matt Olson is an excellent option here. 60% hard contact rate against like those 92, 93 mile an hour four-seam fastballs dating back to 2016.
Yeah, I like him here. I think Vegas is I think they're overlooking the A's here, projected run total under 4. But I think that just also kind of stems down to the Yankees' love that they always tend to give.
Yeah, they do. Like, I think they might be overweighing the whole Sonny Gray resurgence.
Yeah. On the other side of things here, obviously Yankees in a great spot against Graveman. We're kind of waiting for this one to be officially confirmed, and it has. Graveman has allowed 5 earned runs or more in 4 of his 6 starts this season. He went down to AAA and had a 6 ERA over 2 starts and looked basically exactly the same.
Yeah, this is just, man, Kendall Graveman he might be worse than Chris Tillman.
Oh, man.
He might be. Man, it's a good spot for these Yankees. I don't even know if I really have to single any of them out. Like Aaron Judge, Stanton, obviously great options. Both hit those pitches. Graveman's pitch mix really, really well. I love Didi in this spot. Didi on DraftKings is way too cheap. What is he? He's down to like 4,600. Like, I know he's like 0 for 20 or something like that in kind of a cold streak, but like Chris Tillman not Chris Tillman. Kendall Graveman is the guy that you want to see whenever you're, in a hitting slump.
Yeah, you definitely do. Like, they crack you out of it. I mean, like you said, we don't need to dive into a lot of these guys. They're all options. I don't even mind some of the bottom half guys like Andujar and Walker here as well. Even like a Torres would be interesting.
Yeah, Gleyber Torres is a guy that I do have a lot of interest in. I don't think he's going to be a very popular option.
Oh, so stack away. They're going to be popular. Now you're not fooling anyone.
No, you're not.
So, next one here, Rays Baltimore, Kevin Gausman versus Jacob Faria. This one I feel like it's going to be a tilting game for some reason because I don't mind either of these pitchers in GPPs. Like, I think they both obviously have strikeout upside. I have a little bit more interest in Gausman here. Gausman's a guy obviously pitched really well against the Rays last year, 1 earned run over 3 starts. Hasn't been bad this year. He has been a little bit lucky, I will say that. But he is a guy who's been limiting damage, obviously coming off a solid game against Oakland. It does definitely have some potential here, but there still is concern in this ballpark.
There is obviously concern, especially like the Rays. We saw this last time this series happened. Like the Rays got out of Tropicana and they got to Baltimore and they actually went bananas.
Bundy.
Bundy and everyone else, but like Gossman has looked much better recently. Dating back to that Cleveland start. Like I know he did struggle a little bit against the Tigers. Most of that was just because he just didn't have the strikeouts that we really needed out of him. But like has looked better his last few starts. He's made some changes to his windup and his delivery. It's a decent spot. Like this Rays team, about 22% strikeout rate, basically league average. The biggest concern I have is they do hit right-handed pitching really, pretty hard, like about 35%. And there's a couple bats I think can get to them. And I profiled them in the cheat sheets. Like the lefties are the guys that I really have concerns about.
I do too. It's the guys who hit, the fastball well, because obviously that's Cosmo's trouble pitch. He's got a solid slider and splitter. None of these guys outside of like Crone hit splitters pretty well. And even like sliders, a lot of these guys have a lot of low contact rates. So there is some upside here. It's just, can he locate that fastball well enough to get out of some of the bigger innings? That's just the concern with Gossman as always.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but like you said, I mean, there are a couple bats I do think I don't mind Crone, even though it's a righty here.
Yeah, I don't mind him. Just a great power option, but I think I'm mostly looking at the lefties here. Denard Span, Malik Smith is pretty interesting here. He's a guy that doesn't necessarily have a ton of power. He's posted like a .088 ISO against right-handed pitching dating back to last season, but decent on-base potential. And against four-seam fastballs, like he posted a 178 ISO dating back to 2016, but almost 40% hard contact rate and an average batted ball distance of like 327 feet. So like you're playing in a good hitter's environment, like that could carry. And guys like Malik Smith are going to be super, super low owned here.
Yeah, and huge stolen base upside. Like Baltimore is some of the worst like catchers as far as throwing out runners go.
Yes, they do.
So Baltimore side things here. Faria is a guy, pitched well against Detroit. Another guy that I do worry about here, just fly ball right over 40% of both sides this season. But is a guy who does have some upside here, especially if he can throw that slider a little bit more.
Yeah, I have concerns. Obviously, this is something we talked about in his last start, and he actually ended up being okay, but he just struggles on the road. Like his career, he's 4.65 ERA on the road compared to 2.64 ERA at home, and he's got some pretty ugly batted ball numbers, like an average distance of almost 200 feet so far this season. That's a little concerning when you're playing in a power park like Camden Yards, but like if you want to roll him out, the Orioles, I know we just saw him go bananas against Ian Kennedy, another fly ball guy. But like Faria still has upside against this Orioles team that is just 26% strikeout rate dating back to this season against right-handed pitching.
Yeah, I don't mind him here. Like he's always a guy that I'm intrigued with. The hard contact is just, it's super hard to get around right now because he's not striking out enough guys for me to like feel comfortable with over a 35% hard contact rate like some of the others. But yeah, I will target anyone against Baltimore because there's just so much upside.
Yeah, for sure.
I will say I still will be going with the Jonathan Scope train, especially he hits splitters pretty well, which is something that Faria throws about 20% of the time. 413 well with 414 ISO against splitters dating back to 2016.
Yeah, he's interesting. Obviously, Machado in a good spot here as well. And then like Mancini, Adam Jones, I think are guys that you can look at to round kind of the rest of that stack out.
Yeah. Next one here, Boston and Toronto. Chris Sale taking on Aaron Sanchez. Chris Sale, as far as the aces go tonight, he ranks third for me behind Verlander and Scherzer. Obviously struggled a little bit against Toronto, but bounced back against the Rangers as you kind of expect anyone to. I don't mind him here, but he's a GPP guy.
He is a GPP guy for me as well, just because like I know the Blue Jays are like one of those teams that they always seem to really suck in good spots, and they're really good in bad spots, and this would be a bad spot for him. Chris Sale, we saw him struggle kind of against this team, and like I say struggle And that, I mean, I guess it's by his terms. He gave up, what, 3 earned runs, only had 4 strikeouts. This is a Blue Jays team that doesn't strike out a lot against left-handed pitching, only 20.6% this season. I think that lowers his upside a little bit if those strikeouts aren't necessarily going to be there. And that makes him like the third option, I think, as far as the stud pitchers go.
Yeah, like given that you're not getting a really high discount on him at all, like what, it's $1,000 from like Scherzer, and Scherzer's a guy who's striking out like 40% of hitters this year. They're in such better spots. I'm just gonna go with those guys basically for the same price tag.
Yeah, and I mean it's just a pivot in tournaments if you want to try to be different. But like I don't necessarily think that the studs are going to be like super highly owned, so I don't know that it matters that much.
No. Then again, I'm not taking Toronto bats against them.
If you wanted to roll out like a Donaldson or Smoke, feel free, like as like pivots for some reason, I guess, to be like get 1% owned guys if you really wanted to. But I don't really see a reason to do that.
Oh. Other side of here, Boston, still fairly high total here against Aaron Sanchez. I definitely like the lefties here against him. Like, I'm in love with Mitch Moreland again here tonight. Like, he's my guy.
Yeah, he would be one of the top options from this side of this game if he makes the lineup. I assume he'll be in the lineup, but solid numbers against right-handed pitching, 232 ISO, dating back to last season, 345 WOBA, a decent amount of power option against two-seam fastballs, 232 ISO, or no, 314 ISO against them. So good power option here. I like JBJ down towards the bottom of that order as well. Good spot for him too.
Yeah, I like Devers here. Against changeups, only 246 WOBA, 388 xWOBA, 56% hard contact rate. And Devers is a guy, man. He's hitting the ball extremely hard over the last 2 weeks.
He has. He's also had balls hit at him extremely hard. Mostly last night was at like 114 miles an hour or something like that from Stanton.
Yeah. That'll wake you up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Don't forget about Benintendi up at the top of that lineup.
Yeah, and of course, like JD Martinez and Mookie Betts are always going to be in play.
Yeah, for sure.
So, next one here. Did you see JBJ also took like the hardest because he got hit by Chapman? It was like 112.8 miles an hour.
Yeah,
or 112 to 102.8.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, he has like 4 of the last 5 like hardest hit by pitches.
Wow. Yeah. I don't want to be him. That's got to hurt. Like he may not be in the lineup. Like he's actually not in the projected lineup today. So.
Oh, he's not. Yeah, you're right. But I don't know. We'll see if he's in there. I like the lefties here.
Yeah, I think it's because Moreland's projected in the lineup. So
it's just a matter of if they use like what they do, DH wise.
I assume like they might give Hanley like the day off or something.
Yeah, wouldn't mind that. Seattle, Detroit, this is the biggest weather concern here. If there's any chance of it playing, I do like some bats here, though.
I'm okay with this game not playing. Like, I don't know that I really like a lot of bats from this game. Obviously, there's a couple that we can target. Like, Gonzalez has been a little bit better recently, and then Boyd's a guy that, like, for somehow, some way, with exception like one game, he just allows like 1 earned run almost every single outing. And it's just crazy. Like I don't know how he escapes all these outings with just like 1 earned run, but like except for what the one game was against. Okay, so he has 1 against the Royals and 1 against the Pirates, where he's allowed 4, and then every other game this season just 1 earned run.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I went up and looked at his expected WOBA, and it actually wasn't as high as I thought it was going to be. It was only like 303 to right-handers. He's not giving up a lot of hard contact. I mean, the fly ball stuff is there. I don't get it either. I really don't. I still, if this game does play, like obviously I do have interest in like Cruz and Haniger and still like Healy and Zunino and stuff, just because there still is so much power. But with you, like there's like secondary options and probably guys I won't even consider because of the weather.
Yeah, for sure. Like those guys would be the ones that I would look at, and then obviously you do have to worry about Kyle Seager, who now apparently just has immense amount of power against left-handed pitching. If I was singling out anyone here, it would probably be Haniger and Zunino. Zunino just freaking on fire recently, and you can get a good low-owned catcher option out of him.
Yeah. On the other side, it would probably be like Nick Castellanos for me, or like one of the cheap catchers, and that's probably it.
Yeah, John Hicks stood out as a pretty good option here against curveballs, 235 ISO against them. He's got a 217 ISO against left-handed pitching dating back to last season, and then obviously Nick Castellanos, low strikeout rates, really really high power option here. If you wanted to roll him out, but again, this game probably doesn't even play, so it's probably not going to matter.
No. Atlanta, Miami next year. Brendan McCarthy taking on Dan Straley. Brendan McCarthy, 5,600. I think he ends up being a popular choice here tonight. Like, not hugely owned, but I think he'll be popular enough.
I think he will too, and I really have no issues with it. Like this Marlins team, even though they're not a high strikeout team, just not a very good hitting baseball team right now. And McCarthy is a guy, doesn't have a lot of strikeout stuff, but it's a guy that just rarely gets blown up. I mean, he has a couple bad outings this season, but like for the most part, like he's been pretty solid, just an innings eater. Guy goes five and a third, maybe 6 innings, gets you a handful of strikeouts, and just has decent outings.
Yeah, I don't mind him. Yeah, his worst start came against the Giants in that last start over the weekend. I mean, other than that, he's been fine this year. At 5,600, guy should probably pick up a win. You're probably looking for 15 DK points here. Be completely fine with that.
Yeah, if he gets you 14, 15, and then is able to add the win on there and gets you an extra 4 on DK, you're happy with that. Obviously on FanDuel, I don't think there's a reason to go down that low anyways, so you wouldn't be looking at it. But DraftKings SP2 sites, DraftKings Fantasy Draft, very good option, even probably on Yahoo if you play over there.
Yep. I don't have interest in really Miami side here. It's just McCarthy just doesn't give up a lot of power.
Bohr. That would be it. I mean, I think this season he's given up a 250 at ISO against lefties.
Hold on real quick. Yeah, 258. I think a lot of that stemmed from that Giants game, though.
Yeah, it probably did. But if it is something that does continue, Justin Bohr.
Yeah. Because still 19% hard contact rate to lefties this year.
Yeah.
So he's just one of those guys. I don't really like the target, but yeah, Bohr's always an interesting bat.
For sure.
Atlanta side here, I don't mind some bats here once again. I don't think Straley's that bad, but obviously you still look. He is a guy who does give up a lot of power just because he's a fly ball guy. Decent park. It's the usual suspects here. I don't mind Albies, Acuna, Freeman. Obviously Markakis, he's juicing, man.
It's not a lefty, so I don't really have interest in Markakis here.
Yeah, his power is only 121 ISO against righties dating back to last year, but this year, 207.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's still not a lefty, so.
No, I'm just kidding. I know. All front 4 of those guys over 200 ISO against righties this year.
It's a good spot for all those guys, and then you're gonna get it may be Flowers in the lineup, but if Suzuki gets in the lineup, he's mashing righties too this season. He's just mashing everybody. I like him. Flaherty, if he's in the lineup towards the bottom, is a decent option. Camargo is projected in the lineup for some reason. I don't know why he would be, because he's generally just a guy that gets in against lefties. But you could roll him out too, I guess. I think I'd rather have Flaherty if he gets in the lineup over Camargo.
Yeah, I would too. Look at Straley, just a guy who throws his fastball a ton, pretty much fastball, slider, changeup, but throwing the fastball 60% of the time and just getting crushed.
Yeah, it's a low velocity fastball too, and Suzuki 476 ISO against it.
Yeah, so Atlanta, once again, I think they'll go overlooked.
Atlanta always goes overlooked.
Yeah. Kansas City, Cleveland next year. Trevor Bauer taking on Jason Hamill. Trevor Bauer has been very solid. Has had a couple of decent outings against the Royals as well. Weather, a little bit of a concern, I think more so here for pitchers. I think Bauer's an interesting, pivot. I think I'd be more inclined to use Bauer as a pivot than Sale, which might sound crazy.
I would too, just because there's a pretty big discount on it, at least on DraftKings. What is it on FanDuel? Pretty big discount on FanDuel too, 11.2 down to 9,500. That's a pretty good price for Bauer, who is a guy that I know this Royals team not striking out a ton, but I mean Bauer does have good strikeout upside, almost 27% strikeout rate dating back to last season. Not a lot of big weaknesses. I know lefties have kind of hit him. 1.43 homers per 9, 329 WOBA allowed to him. But it's a good spot. If you get around, Moustakas and Duda, who I guess isn't as powerful as a hitter as we thought since Chris Tillman shut him down in the one time he faced him. He could be in line for a good outing. Like I do like him over Sale in the spot, and he might actually be for me based on how I'm building my lineup right now. He might be my SP1 over Verlander and Scherzer.
I think for the discount, I can definitely get behind it. I'm just not buying into Kansas City's recent performances. I think that was just one of the benefits of just facing a Baltimore pitching staff in Camden Yards.
I mean, it was let's see, they had that first game where they erupted, and then the second game was just Duda was the only one that really did anything. Yeah. And then the third game was Perez, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, when you put it like that, they didn't really do much outside of the two games or outside of the one game.
Yeah, and that was just, them going bananas in that first inning, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah. I didn't really have interest in a lot of Royals bats here at all. None of them really stood out just because they all are horrendous against curveballs.
It would be Moustakas if you really wanted to, but I'm not going there tonight.
Cleveland side of things here against Hamill. Cleveland's been one of those tough teams to kind of figure out this year. Hamill's a guy, 330 WOBA to lefties, 164 ISO dating back to last year. Decent amount of hard contact rate, about 33%. He's throwing that slider a ton, and the sinker as well. I don't mind some of these bats, but I feel like a lot of people might chase Cleveland, and I'm kind of not getting behind it.
I am. I don't know that they're going to be a very popular option here. And Hamill's a guy, if you're hunting home runs, you don't want to go here. Hamill's a guy who's not someone that generally gives up a lot of home runs. He just gives up a lot of runs in general. I mean, he was top 5 in runs allowed last season. I don't know where he stands so far this season, but this is just a good spot for a lot of these guys to put balls in play and do damage that way. Jose Ramirez stands out as a very, very good option. He has a 405 ISO against two seam fastballs dating back to 2016. So good power option, even though you don't expect Hamill to give up more than maybe one home run here. E5, really good spot. I like all these guys. I think E5, Alonso, Lindor, Brantley, even Zimmer down towards the bottom of that lineup profile is really good bats against him. And I actually don't think they're going to be very popular.
I still find myself paying up for him. 5-4 for Lindor is something that I'm having a tough time just lineup construction wise. Same with Ramirez at 5-1. I don't mind a Brantley or Kipnis because they're cheap, and E5 E5 at 4,700 is not bad. It's just a Lindor price tag when you see guys like Gregorius and Machado for a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I can see that. Yonder Alonso at 3,700 is pretty darn good price, and then Zimmer at 3,700, pretty good price. Don't know if Naquin's going to make the lineup, but he'd be another guy you could look at. And then, I don't know. I don't know if I would go with Kipnis because he's pretty much sucked this season. Gonzalez is a guy to keep an eye on if he makes the bottom of that
lineup. Texas Houston next year. You got Justin Verlander taking on Cole Hamels. Verlander, definitely my number 2 behind Scherzer here tonight. This is a guy, 16 strikeouts against Texas already this year. This is a team that's just awful. And you look, a lot of the strikeouts coming against left-handed bats, and this is still a team that's left-handed heavy.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot that needs to be said. I mean, he's a guy, 28% strikeout rate dating back to last season. He's just been phenomenal in an Astros uniform. This Rangers team is bad. I mean, they're one of the worst offenses over the last 2 weeks, or 26% strikeout rate for the entire season. I know they're a team that hits the ball really hard, almost 40% hard contact this season, but Verlander's just so good. This is just such a great spot for him. I absolutely love him if you're paying up for pitcher. He might be my guy over Scherzer as SP1 if I was paying all the way up. But yeah, there's really no reason to fear him in this spot.
No, definitely not. If you're looking at 2018 alone, 41% strikeout rate against lefties, 29% against righties. Hard contact down. Like you said, in Houston, he's just been, not in Houston, but he's just been phenomenal as far as, since coming over from the Astros.
Yeah, what is it? It's 87 2/3 innings. He's gone 9-1 with a 1.13 ERA, 113 strikeouts, 16 walks, and 44 hits in an Astros uniform dating back to last season.
This reminds me of when CeCe went to Milwaukee that one year and just absolutely dominated. God, that was so fun. I wish DFS was there.
Yeah, for sure.
That was no interest in Texas bats, I'm assuming.
Nope.
Houston here. George Springer, always a guy to consider against the lefty. Just continues to mash him. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't have a ton of interest in Houston here. Like Hamels has been serviceable. Like I think he got a bad name. Like people I think just associated his name with being just completely terrible, and he hasn't been as bad as people like associate him with being. That being said, the last two times these teams have faced off, George Springer has led off with a home run. Literally the first time they faced each other, both times this season, it's been a home run for George Springer. Good home run call again tonight if you want to do that. Like Yuli Gurriel, Marwin. I think Marwin's the guy that I have the most interest in just as a price option because he's really, really, really cheap. But yeah, it'd be like Springer and Marwin maybe for me. And then I mean, obviously Correa, Altuve, guys are in good spots. It's just I'd rather pay elsewhere than Houston tonight.
Yeah. I don't think they're that because they're under 5K. Like Correa 4.7, I feel like is kind of a bargain here. And like Springer 4.8. You just look like Hamels is mainly a guy who throws changeup and cutters, and both Correa and Springer just absolutely mash those two pitches.
Yeah, they do. I mean, that's why. Like I said, I do like Springer. It's just I know they're not over 5K, but like I'd still just rather pay elsewhere because Houston is still a team that just garners a lot of ownership, and it's a ownership move for me.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't have interest in like a lot of like Altuve's or Bregmans here or back half guys. Like I'm not thrilled. It really is just kind of Springer and Correa.
If Stassi got in the lineup, he'd be a catcher option to consider.
He won't because you mentioned his name. You don't
Probably.
mention his name, he gets in the lineup.
Pretty much, but continues to rake against lefties. 333 ISO, 479 MOBA against him, and now 34 plate appearances.
Yeah. Milwaukee, Colorado. God, Coors. Brandon Woodruff take on Chad Bettis. I do think we see some runs here tonight. I don't think we see another 7-run game combined last night. I think these two pitchers are a little bit worse off.
I don't know. Wind's blowing in. It's like 15 miles an hour blowing in. That could change things. I guess.
Is it really 15?
What did it say? 10 to 15 miles an hour.
All right.
So maybe that changes things. Maybe it changes the outlook for some people. We'll have to wait and see. This is an interesting spot. Like I think, like I don't know that I want to pick on Bettis too much. I'd probably lean towards the righties if I was picking on Bettis. And then like for Woodruff, I would probably lean towards the lefties from Colorado.
Yeah, I would too. I'm with you. Like I don't see myself really using like LeMahieu or Arenado or Story. I'd still probably use just because he's cheap. He's only 4.3 in core, so there's potential there. Well, he was one of the only guys to really do anything last night for him. Yeah, it's Blackman, it's Cargo or Dahl, whoever gets into that lineup. It was Dahl last night. He didn't clean up with a big offer.
Yeah, I would assume I'm hoping like Para is not in the lineup tonight because I think Cargo actually profiles as a much better option. If you look at it, let's see, what is he? 180 ISO, 350 WOBA dating man last season. He has a 369 WOBA against Woodruff's primary pitch was like a 95 mile an hour forcing fastball, 72% contact rate. So decent numbers in a good park here.
Like you said, Milwaukee, I would rather target the right-handers. Like I don't mind like Braun or Kane or Santana. Manny Pino, although took a nasty one to the lower half. Yeah.
Manny's Pina's got squashed last night.
Oh man, dude. Catchers are dropping like flies. Man.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see if he's in the lineup. I do like him a decent amount if he is in the lineup because like Bettis is throwing a really slow four-seam fastball. Pina, it's only like 8 batted ball events, but 750 ISO against the pitch. Good numbers there. Arcia mentioned in a good spot. Jesus Aguilar had a good game last night. Like nothing like eye popping, but had a decent game. He's a guy again, decent power against right-handed pitching.
Yeah, like I don't mind going back to the well with some of these bottom half guys and like Travis Shaw 4.3 in cores. Come on.
Yeah, like it. I know this is a spot where I don't really want to target lefties, but it would be kind of crazy if you're stacking the Brewers to exclude Travis Shaw and the amount of power he has.
Yeah. So if you want to go here, go here. I'm okay with fading it as well.
I'm always okay with fading Coors.
Yeah. Washington, Arizona next. You got Max Scherzer taking on Matt Cook. And I love Max Scherzer here. Going to back where it started.
Yeah, this is a really good spot for Max. I mean, obviously we saw 15 strikeouts in like 6 innings last time, 6 and 3rd innings. Yeah, no real reason to worry about him here. Obviously, you do have to worry he's probably going to give up 1 home run because that's what Max does, or maybe 2 home runs, but he's still going to put up like 30 fantasy points because he still strikes out like 10 hitters.
Yeah, the strikeout stuff is there tonight. I could see one of those like Garrett Cole starts again where like face the Diamondbacks and like we're looking like 15, 16 strikeouts. And Scherzer's a guy I want exposure to. Like, I don't care about the price tag. This Arizona team outside of AJ Pollock has just been absolutely awful this year. David Peralta hasn't been bad, but still.
Yeah, it's crazy like how bad this team has been. Yet, you and I were talking about they still haven't lost a series this season. It's kind of weird. And what they got? Did they end up winning last night? I know it was like.
Oh yeah, that was extra innings. When I went to bed.
They lost. They ended up losing. I remembered. Was it who walked in? Who balked in the tying run? Was it Bradley? I think.
It was Bradley. It might have been Boxberger. Could have been either of those guys.
I think it was Bradley. He balked in the tying run, which is just hilarious in and of itself. But yeah, I don't have interest in any Arizona bats. Like obviously Scherzer is a fantastic option here if you want to pay up for him.
Yeah, definitely. Washington side of things here. I don't mind some of the Washington bats. Like I know Cook's obviously been a guy who hasn't given up a ton. But the hard contact's there. 44% to right-handers, 36% to lefties. I don't mind buying into some of these Washington bats here, which I don't think a lot of people will go after.
No, that starts with obviously Bryce Harper. Really good spot for him. He has again we mentioned it yesterday. Has been slumping a little bit. Didn't have a very good outing last time, but like has posted some excellent numbers against Cook's primary pitch. It's a 92-mile-an-hour forcing fastball. He has a 418 ISO against. Or 593 ISO against that and a 418 ISO against changeups. Matt Adams, good spot for him. I still love him in this spot if he gets in the lineup. Even the righties, Rendon, Turner, Zimmerman, and then again, I talked about Wilmer Difo last night or yesterday. Great spot here for him if he's in the lineup batting in that 9-hole.
Yeah, I like these guys, and I think they're an underrated stack tonight.
They are. I don't think anyone's going to really go there because Cook hasn't been a guy that's just really been terrible. And the Nationals have been pretty terrible recently, but like they still have the ability to kind of just go bananas. And this is a spot where I think they do, and they're going to be like 5% owned.
Yeah. Twins Angels next year. Lance Lynn taking on Tyler Skaggs. Lance Lynn, guy I like to target with lefties. Although he is giving up a 37% hard contact rate to righties this year. You buying in the Angels here tonight?
Yes. I wish there were more lefties available. They don't have a lot of lefties that they can use. Obviously, they have Ohtani. He's pretty good at hitting baseballs. A 477 WOBA, 370 ISO against right-handed pitching, and 49 plate appearances. Good spot for him. Luis Valbuena is a guy, a really, really cheap option that should be in the lineup. First base, third base eligibility on DraftKings. He would be a guy I think has a ton of power potential here against a guy, especially in Lynn, that has really struggled against lefties. And then if Cole Calhoun can't get off the schneid tonight, he's just never going to get off the schneid the rest of the season.
He's been like a bottom 5 hitter in baseball this year.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him.
He's been awful. I like the Angels here. Justin Upton, whenever he gets into these hot streaks, he's always a guy I don't mind rolling with. He's only 4,400 on DK tonight. I won't be paying the 5.8 price tag on Mike Trout tonight. I'm sorry, I like him, but I don't like paying 5.8.
Yeah, I think it would be crazy if you were stacking him to overlook guys like Upton and Trout, but like paying up for Trout is that's I don't know that I want to pay that much for him.
Yeah. Cozart's projected lead off. I don't know if he led off last night. But if he does, I have some interest. The guy who's hit sinkers pretty well.
Yeah, he'd be a fine option too.
Minnesota side here against Skaggs. I don't know. I think Skaggs is kind of an interesting GPP option like the late slate.
I guess he's just been so bad at home. Like, I mean, what is he
which
giving
is
up? Like
weird.
6.2 ERA and or 6.2 ERA and what 3 home starts. He's been really bad against right-handed pitch or right-handed hitters. I mean, 329 WOBA, 35% hard contact. I don't know. I don't know that I would risk going there. I guess if you're playing late slate and you're dying for an option, guess, but like 8,600 is not really a very good price. Like you have better options as late slate pitchers with like Kenta Maeda and Luke Weaver.
I just don't think he's been that bad. Like it was the Red Sox start that really killed him. I mean, 6 earned runs, but outside of that, I mean, he hasn't allowed more than two in a start, and a couple of starts where he's had 7+ strikeouts. I mean, it depends on what this lineup kind of looks like, but I mean, there's still some strikeouts here in it. Obviously, you do watch out for guys like Escobar and Dozier, and I know Buxton's back in the lineup and hit lefties pretty well last year, but I don't know. There's some stuff in here, especially if he throws that curve quite a bit. Not a lot of guys are that great against his curveball.
I guess I don't feel it tonight. I'm just not feeling it. Again, late slate guy. If you're looking at it, I don't really see a reason to go there on a main slate. But like I do like Dozier a lot in this spot as a good power option here. Adrianza, surprisingly against left-handed pitching, is the Twins' second best hitter. Um, 361 WOBA, 366 on base percentage dating back to last season. A little bit of power against those like low 90 mile an hour fastballs too with the 220 or 222 ISO against it last season. So I like him. I like Escobar and then like Grossman or Buxton. I think you can round out that stack with.
Yeah, Escobar's just been a guy that's on fire.
He continues to hit really really well.
Cincinnati, LA next. Kenta Maeda taking on Matt Harvey. What's Matt Harvey's new name going to be? Like, we got to give him a Cincinnati nickname.
I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know either. I feel like he's going to go there and just eat a bunch of chili dogs and pack on like 30 pounds.
Probably not what he needs to do because he was already looking a little beefy out there on the mound last time I saw him. But man, he's going to be on a pitch count. No clue what that pitch count's going to be. It's probably going to be limited to like 1 inning because he's going to give up like 4 earned runs in the first inning, and they're just going to be like, "Why did we make this trade for him?"
Yeah. I don't care about the pitch count because he's probably not going to make it to the pitch count anyway. Lefties, 421 WOBA, 288 ISO dating back to last year, 38% hard contact. You and I were talking. If the Dodgers can't get it going tonight, it's like, well, who can they get it going against?
They're gonna go up against someone in like their next series, and like it's gonna be like an ace. Like it's gonna be like Max Scherzer, and they're gonna go off for like 10 runs.
That's how baseball works.
Yes, it pretty much is. I guess they're in Miami next, so maybe it won't happen.
No. Couple of guys that do obviously stand like I do like the lefties here, like Grandal, Bellinger, Jock are all really cheap lefty power options here to use, and I still don't mind like a Taylor or Kemp as well.
I do. I actually think Kemp is very interesting. He's been good against right-handed pitching, 211 ISO, 346 WOBA against him, 500 ISO against those like 92 mile an hour four-seam fastballs last season. So a good spot for him. I like Austin Barnes too if he gets in the lineup. Chris Taylor, fine option, but Grandal, one of the best catcher options on the slate, just in general.
Yeah, he definitely is 3,700 on DK. I would even use him on FanDuel just because I like guys like Sanchez and Grandal who have just huge home run upside, and they always go like less. Well, not Sanchez, but Grandal's always less than 10%.
Yeah, for sure.
So, other side of here, you mentioned Maeda. I definitely don't mind him here tonight. I will say I'm still worried a little bit here just if they roll out a ton of lefties, which they probably should.
They should, but like I'm still okay with him in the spot. Like I know he's been pretty much just up and down all season. Um, I don't know. I think he's fine in the spot. Like I know he has struggled a little bit against lefties, but I just don't see it with the Reds tonight. They're just so bad.
I don't either. I just don't think he's not. I don't think he's gonna be one of those guys that I use. I don't mind the price tag. I don't know. I'm not a huge Maeda guy.
I'm not either, but like he has upside in the spot. Like I know the Reds only striking out about 20% of the time against right-handed pitching, but Maeda guy 26% strikeout rate dating back to last season. This Reds team is just so bad. Like I'm probably not using him myself because I can get Bauer for a little bit more, or I can drop down to like Arrieta. But like if you're playing late slate, I think he's my top guy.
Yeah, definitely a late safe guy that I wouldn't mind. I don't really like any Reds against him unless you're just trying to be contrarian with like a Votto or if you're chasing the Scooter night again.
It'd be Votto, Scooter, Winker.
Yeah. Last game here, St. Louis taking on San Diego. Eric Lauer taking on Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver's a guy who's I kind of feel similar as far as like how Daniel was, where the lefties have kind of gotten into trouble as far as walks go. And he's been another one. He just kind of walks and gets into trouble a little bit, but there's definitely potential here.
I think he's going to improve here. There's a lot of potential here for him to have a good game. Obviously, we know this Padres team strikes out a lot. Weaver almost 26% strikeout rate dating back to last season. He's been pretty unlucky. I think some of the numbers suggest that if you believe in the BABIPs and the xFIPs and all that stuff, suggesting that he should be better than he has been. So I think this is a great spot for him. He's going to be popular. I guarantee you he's going to be one of the popular options on tonight's slate, especially on DraftKings at 7,900. Just a really good spot and price for him.
Yeah, and I think because he's going to be popular, I'm okay with him in cash, like as an SP2 here.
Yeah, I am too, because you just go down with the rest of the field if he sucks.
Yeah, and he really hasn't. It's been the walks. Like he's 345 WOBA, 0.48 ISO allowed. Like doesn't give up a lot of hard contact. Good ballpark here. I know they're probably going to have actually probably 5 or 6 lefties in this lineup, just because that's what we saw last night. But the upside's still there.
Yeah, and it's not like Weaver, like against lefties, almost 24% strikeout rate dating back to last season, 290 WOBA dating back to last season. I know those numbers probably worse this season.
They're really not that bad. Like the ISO is still super low. Like 345 WOBA, it's all been basically just walks and singles.
Yeah, so it's still just a good spot for him, and I don't really think the Padres are guys that you should look at tonight.
No. St. Louis side, Tommy Pham. God, dude just continues to mash whenever he's in the lineup. Groin or no groin.
Yeah, really, really good spot for him. Like, I think this is a stack that's going to go overlooked. Obviously, Tommy Pham, excellent spot. 271 ISO, 425 WOBA, dating max last season against lefties. Hits those 90-mile-an-hour four-seam fastballs really well, and that's kind of what Eric Lauer relies on. I'm calling my shot right now. If Jed Jerko is not in the lineup, then they need to fire Matheny. Just fire him. Like I hate the whole narrative stuff, but like Jed Jerko has proved that he is a guy that just loves hitting against San Diego. And 36 at bats against him, he's 18 hits, 500 batting average, like 8 homers and like 16 RBIs against the Padres last season.
And then if you just want to take the narrative out of it, he just mashes lefties anyway.
Yeah, he just mashes lefties anyway. So there is that as well.
Yeah. Jose Martinez, obviously another guy, dating back to last year, 354 ISO, 490 WOBA against lefties. Lauer's a guy who just throws that fastball a lot, low 90s. We'll mix in a cutter and changeup every now and then. These are just 47% hard contact rate to righties. Like I do like these Cardinals right-handers.
Really, really good spot for the Cardinal right-handers. And I hope Fowler is out of the lineup and we get Harrison Bader in there. 229 ISO, 425 WOBA against left-handed pitching, 46% hard contact rating, 222 ISO against those really slow four-seam fastballs. And then Paul DeJong, whose strikeout rate has started to come down. Like he started the season at like 35%. He's down to like 31.6 against left-handed pitching. So it's trending down. So that's good to see. So yeah, I like these Cardinals bats.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know. I think that's it. We're done here. Home run calls.
Let me go with Reese Lightning and Sean Rodriguez.
I think I'm going to take a freebie in George Springer. I've been slumping a little bit as far as home run calls go.
I thought about it. I thought about the Springer leadoff home run.
And then I'm going to go a little Jock Jams.
I can get behind some Jock Jams.
Yeah, take down the Dark Knight. We got to get rid of that. We got to figure out a new nickname. So if you have any ideas, let us know.
Hang on. I saw one. Let me see if I can find it. Saw one the other day. I don't know if I can find it quickly. It was pretty good. No, I guess I don't. Yeah, I can't find it. I will find it and I'll have it for Monday.
Yeah, we need one.
Oh, Crimson Chin, that's what it was.
And that's a good Fairly Odd Parents reference for all you guys that are not familiar with the cartoon world.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I'm bummed about? Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'm a little sad.
Yeah. I got yesterday was a gut punch with Nick Collison and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It was a very dark day for me. I was pretty depressed.
So Netflix, if you're watching, or TBS, there is still a cult following for Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I guarantee you Netflix will pick it up.
I think so, yeah. That's it for us. You can download DaveFantasyCafe.com, check out our tools and content, and we'll see you guys Monday.
Good luck tonight.